you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's the eclectic DIY how-to show. It's me, Eric. Sometimes I have a guest. Today, it's the solo show. If you're new to Garden Fork, I have this podcast and a YouTube channel by the same name called Garden Fork on YouTube. I want to talk about cookbooks, shoulder, tricep tendonitis, and pruning your fig trees today. All three things I've experienced this week. What fun. I am continually simplifying, downsizing, decluttering my apartment and the little house upstate. And I've realized that I have cookbooks that I have not touched in years. And then I realized that I don't really use a lot of the cookbooks I have. My favorite cookbook right now is the Otto Lenge Test Kitchen book. It basically has flavors and tastes and dishes that are not in my repertoire. My repertoire is the American diner. I did go to a diner the other day and I had what I've been wanting for a long time. It was Eisenberg's in Fifth Avenue between 22nd and 23rd Street in Manhattan, across from the Flatiron Building, which recently was sold, but then the guy that bought it at auction didn't pay for it. That's kind of interesting. But it went for $190 million, and I thought for such an iconic building, that was kind of low. But maybe it might be a problematic building. If the bones of the building are in trouble, that is an expensive endeavor to rebuild. But anyway, Eisenberg's is a old school lunch counter that I've been going to since I moved back to New York after college. I won't tell you how long ago that was. And then it was the classic counter with rude staff. And rude staff, I guess, is kind of a thing at some restaurants. I don't really like it, but it kind of just came with the territory when you went to Eisenberg's. I don't know if it was rude, but brusquely efficient. And the menu was basically on the wall, but also I guess you could look at one. But if you looked at a menu, that suggested that you didn't come there regularly and you didn't know what was going on. Big red flag there. And I would get a grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of pea soup when I went there. And that, I still get that when I go to diners today. It's kind of my diner measurement scale, is how good is the pea soup with the grilled cheese sandwich. So Eisenberg's closed, I think, during the pandemic. It might have been before. And then it's called a restaurant group here. I think it's called that in the rest of the country as well. But it's a group of a company that is very good at starting and running restaurants. If you know the Union Square Cafe, Danny Meyer, who also has now Shake Shack across the country, but he is part of a group of investor restaurateur types. And so a group like that bought Eisenberg's, and I was a little worried about it. I'm like, oh. And I heard that there were lines out the door and stuff. But I went about 11:30 the other day, and there was no line. I just walked in and I sat at the counter, and this guy, younger than me, handed me a menu, and it's kind of almost the same. That they fixed up the back of the restaurant. There were some seating, and they put new mirrors on the walls. The mirrors before it looked like the silver coating was falling off the back of them. And back in the day, it was Phil, whose nickname was Hawaiian Phil, behind the counter. And usually this cranky other guy who was not warm at all. Phil was brusque until he got to know you, but he had his area of the counter decorated with like paper fake palm trees on the mirror. And I think someone did a sketch of him probably 40 years ago, and it said Hawaiian Phil, and I think he was dressed in like a cook's outfit, but he was in palm trees behind him. How did we get here? Oh, we're talking about cookbooks. But anyway, I went this new time the other day, and I ordered the pea soup, and the young guy, not young, maybe looked like he was 30, taking my order. He goes, that has meat in it. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But That's just kind of, I think that's actually respectful of people. I didn't expect that at Eisenberg's. I mean, beforehand they didn't say that. They're like, "What do you want? It's pea soup," you know. But pea soup is usually made with ham. I now make pea soup without ham. I've been doing that for quite a while, actually. But anyway, I went to Eisenberg's and it was good. Oh, the Labradors are coming back. There might be some chaos here, so hold on. Anyway, I just realized that, because I said my repertoire is usually the American Diner. The Otto Lengi Test Kitchen book, Shelf Love, is really good. They just came out with a second one, which I have not bought yet. But he has a whole series of videos on YouTube about recipes from the Shelf Love. Self-love's important too, book. And of course, I'll link to it in the show notes. Oh, the doors are opening. The Labradors have returned. But anyway, there's beautiful cookbooks that I do not use. So we have an email list. We use Google for it on our block. It's also an old school called a list serve, if you're familiar with that term. But your email address is added to the Google email group. And if anyone sends an email to the Block Association Google group, it gets sent to like 120 people. So I was able to give cookbooks I did not want homes where people who would actually, I'm hoping they would actually use them. I think there are some cookbook hoarders out there, I mean, how many cookbooks can you actually use? The camera operator just said, "You're zero," because she does not cook. Anyway, so think about that. If I've realized that books get dusty, you have to dust them. And I'm like, this is one more thing I got to clean. The camera operator is laughing in the background here because she has to listen to this every day but it is kind of a part of my antidote to the depression is to clean and simplify. And I love cleaning, and simplifying makes it even better. Should we go down another rabbit hole here? Yes, we're going to go down another rabbit hole here. We have 2 Labradors, and they get, it's called Blue Buffalo is the brand of dry food. They get a cup of dry food and then a quarter can of wet food for breakfast and dinner. Then they get snacks during the day. And Spiker, our yellow lab, has a kind of a bigger body type than Andy, who's our black lab, who's pretty trim. But we've noticed that Spiker has been putting on weight with what we're feeding her. So we have switched her to another variety of Blue Buffalo called Healthy Weight. It has a lower fat content in it. But so now I have to feed the dogs 2 different kinds of dry food. So I bought these bins that are on little plastic wheels. I think they're not from Rubbermaid. Of course, in the show notes, I'll link them. And I bought 1 cup scoopers for each one, and they're underneath the kitchen cabinets. They're in the kitchen cabinet. So I just wheel it out, sit it on the floor, and I have a 1 cup scooper for Andy, and I have a 1 cup scooper for Spiker. And that simplifies my life. I don't have to go find the 1 cup measurement. I don't have to see, which bin has the 1 cup measure in it. I just bought 2. And I'm a big supporter of local stores, but this is something I went to Amazon for. I literally typed in 1 cup measuring scoop, and of course, it was there. So, but again, simplifying, I kind of love that. Little follow-up on a video I did 2 videos ago. Oh, there's a new video out about replacing your incredibly loud bathroom fan that's like going... It was kind of a fun video to make, and the edit, I think, looks pretty good. That's new on YouTube. The previous video was, I call it just a walk and talk. It's kind of in YouTube parlance, it's called a community video. You're not trying to get new viewers or new subscribers. You're just checking in with your diehard fans. And they always get lower numbers, but I'm fine with that. But I was trying to explain why I wasn't able to do a lot of things and why I missed the sap season. It's because I wrecked my elbow somehow. I was splitting wood and I have a trailer that I load the wood into, and it was, icy and snowy in the driveway, and the front, that's a pivot wheel. What's the little wheel to hold the weight of a trailer when you take it off a car or something? Jack wheel gets kind of stuck on little holes in my driveway, and I was trying to push it. So imagine the action would be very similar to if you were doing a chest press. You're lying on a bench and doing a chest press up, or if you were pressing against a wall where your wrists are in line with your shoulders. And it was sore for a really long time. And I'm not suggesting everyone diagnose every health issue on YouTube, but I do know of who I think is a very good physical therapist on YouTube called Dr. Joe. Dr. D-R-J-O, Dr. Joe. And I had pain in the outside of my elbow. And then I also watched some other really good physiatrist or physical therapy videos talking about the elbow. And I have tricep tendonitis, which is a big word for I overdid it on my elbow. The tricep muscles are being used when you're doing a chest press or trying to push a trailer on snow and ice of your driveway. And I tried to make my elbow and the tricep muscles do something that they're not quite up to. I overdid it. And so I created a soreness where the muscle meets the elbow bone. And Dr. Joe had some very simple exercises. I was also told it can take up to 3 months for that to get better. I feel better already. I actually kind of partly think I feel better about it because I know what it is now. You're wondering, is someone going to want to operate on this and reattach a tendon or something? I think if your tendon's disconnected, you would know about it. So someone's going to email me about that, tell me a story about their tendon being disconnected, right? Right. Anyway, Dr. Joe on YouTube. There is nothing to replace going in person to a physical therapist. I've been through physical therapy at least 4 times, if not more, for my back issues. And if you connect with a really good physical therapist that knows their stuff, it is life-changing. When you go to physical therapy, they're going to give you exercises to do at home. Just do them. If you don't do the exercises, you're not going to get better. All right? There you go. I went over to my buddy Brian's house to help him prune his fig trees. I don't know if you remember Brian, but his backyard is where we did the lasagna gardening raised bed. And it's still working great. I mean, he does amend the soil with more vegetable matter and compost. But we built a raised bed out of used lumber from when we renovated his building. He has a 3-family building. I helped him renovate. And Brian he says such a great energy. He just sets himself to it and does it. And lasagna gardening requires cardboard, sawdust or straw, brown leaves, and if you have them, vegetable matter. So Brian, being Brian, went to the regular grocery store asking for their cast-off vegetables, And of course, they looked at him like they was from outer space. I think also they might have thought he was just looking for free food. He didn't want to buy the food. He just wanted them to give them the slightly dented stuff. I could be wrong about that. But I reminded him that at that point we were both members of the food co-op and they had a composting program that I worked on. And he went over there and got a couple of boxes of, really, really overripe bananas and zucchini and stuff like that. And we put that in there. But I went yesterday, because probably 6 years ago, I was at Whole Foods and they had fig trees in a 2-gallon pot. The fig tree was probably 1.5 feet tall. And I'm like, maybe I want to put these in my yard. And for some dumb reason, I decided not to put it in the yard. I guess I thought the dogs would mess it up or something. So I gave it to Brian and he put it in the ground and the thing takes off. It is, and it's huge now. He has done some pruning on it. And I said this winter, I said, we have to do kind of a brutal prune to that fig tree. Oh, okay. And so I went over there yesterday and I was running some video on my phone and I took off one of the big branches at the base. I mean, those branches are as thick as my forearm and you can cut a fig tree down to the ground and it will grow back, and it will grow back with more vigor, I think, and it will fruit the second year. So I took one of these big limbs off and then I think he got a little worried. I said, we have to take a third of these off. So we dialed back the pruning. So my idea of a radical pruning video will not play out. So it might be more kind of a vlog of Eric going to help one of his best friends prune a tree. You know, we did remember, you got to do those cuts where you make the bottom cut first, then you move over about an inch, go out an inch, make the top cut, and then the limb will snap off. And then that keeps the bark from peeling down the trunk. And then go to the right of the bottom cut and cut it clean. So you want a clean cut close to the growth ring that comes off the main branch. So there you go. The video will come out, but it'll be like, okay, they made that one big cut and then Brian's making these little cuts. So there'll probably be a lot of people going, you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, well, at least I'm doing it and I'm making a video. So make your own video there, you know. Do you have any thoughts on battery-powered chainsaws? I'd like to get one. I don't know. Getting the steel battery-powered one is kind of out of my budget. But I was wondering if you know anything about any of the name brand ones or one you bought on Amazon and what you thought about them. Because we had really only one storm this year up here, but it was really wet snow last week, about 1.5 feet of it. And it pulled down a lot of branches. And I'm thinking, you know, a battery-powered little chainsaw would be great to cut this stuff up, especially when you're working with shoulder tricep tendonitis. Tricep tendonitis, not shoulder tendonitis. Dr. Joe has all sorts of videos on that. So let me know. It's radio@gardenfork.tv. All right. Go out and do cool stuff. Make it a great day. See you.